...2019, I was watching a sermon from Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he said that he had one regret, and that stopped me in my feet. That Bishop T.D. Jakes, you know, as prolific as he is, how accomplished that he is, how, you know, what he's achieved just as a person, that he would have a regret. And he said that his one regret is that he didn't launch deeper, that there were places that God told him to go beyond this mega church, beyond the studio stuff, that there were places God told him to go, but he played it safe and he did not launch into the deep. So that stuck with me because I felt like, wow, if he hasn't launched into the deep, then most of us have not even scratched the surface. So fast forward, I went to Dubai in the new year of 2020, and it was amazing. When I came back, I literally said to God, I want you to take me where my feet can't take me. Because some of the things that I saw over there, I knew did not come from man. It was just some incredible things. So when I came back, I said, Lord, I want you to take me where my feet can't take me. You know, and you have to be careful. I call that a dangerous prayer. At the time when I prayed it, I didn't really realize the magnitude of what I prayed, because if you're saying to God, Lord, take me where my feet can't take me, that means I'm going to take you where your friends, where your finances, where your connections, where what you know, where your physical limitations can't take you. So I didn't really think about that. I was just on this high from seeing this amazing stuff. Then COVID hit, March 2020. That day to me is, that weekend, March 13th, 14th, was like 9/11 to me, because we're in the transportation charter bus business. That's the business my husband and I have been in for almost 2 decades. We've been doing this business for a very long time. That's what we did. That's what we know that's our livelihood, not just my husband's or mine, but we were both full-time employees with our company. So when March 2020 hit, every charter bus we had, every trip we had probably that weekend of the 13th, 14th, we had every bus in our fleet out. Plus, we always had extra bookings, additional bookings. So we had about 4 other subcontractors working for us. So it was a very busy weekend. We received a call from one of our universities that said, hey, we're gonna have to turn the buses around. This thing called COVID, you know, they've started to cancel some things, so we're gonna have to bring the students, the players back. We received a call from the NCAA that said, we're canceling everything. After that, the only calls that we were receiving were customer after customer canceling trips. Our entire 2020 season canceled. So we're, you know, and not only did they cancel, but then you had customers that wanted refunds. So we were looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of refunds. And it was devastating. So, you know, you kept saying, hey, it's gonna change, but instead of it getting better, it ended up getting worse. So when you look at the toll of that, not only on our business, but because my husband and I, that was our livelihood, it had a tremendous effect on our home, because what we brought that we were dealing with at work, we brought that home. So it was a period that not only shook our finances and our financial well-being, but it really shook our relationship and our marriage. And of course, you know, they say financial issues is one of the top reasons people end in divorce. So it was devastating. We were trying to figure out what happened, trying to keep the business afloat, at the same time trying to keep our marriage afloat. Then, you know, thank goodness to the government, all these things started coming out saying, we have these loans and these programs that can assist you. So for a business like ours that was highly affected, I immediately went after everything that we could go after. I had my books in order, my taxes were together, I put my applications in early, and then realized, okay, I started hearing about people getting funded, but I didn't receive a call. So as I continued to look further and further into it, and the money started giving out that the government had set aside, we realized that my applications had gotten stuck in the system. Not just one, but both of my applications for two separate programs. So by the time everything was said and done, they had ran out of funds. And the money we received was a small amount compared to what we needed to keep the business together. So I sat there and, just not knowing what to do and feeling like, God, I know you're saying something, but what are you telling me? So I ended up reaching out to Bishop K.W. Brown and Elder Valerie Brown. Those are our spiritual parents. And I did that reluctantly because for the most part, when we were members at the Mount, our business had flourished, our finances had flourished, our family had flourished. So it was almost like, as a child, a son or daughter, when things aren't going that well, you really don't want to tell your parents. You're like, you really don't want to go back home and say, hey, I failed, something that I did didn't work. And, but I was just at the point where, I didn't hear God. And so my, and I don't want to say last resort, but it was a last resort to me because I didn't want to go and share that during a season when people were talking about all of these COVID blessings, that we were sort of struggling just to survive. So I went to Bishop. He said to me, he heard my story, I gave him my long story, and he said to me, I want you to take 2 days in silence. I want you to just sit, turn the phones off, and I want you to ask God, what am I to pursue? And what strategy do I need to use? So ironically, I do this silence with a group out of Richmond. So the day he told me to start, which was a Tuesday, was the day that I meet with the silence group. So I just thought, okay, God, you're up to something, because the very day that you're telling me to go silent is the very day that I'm doing the silence with the group. And I sat under a tree in my front yard. And when I say, I asked God that question, Lord, what am I to pursue? And give me the strategy. And when I say, God answered, it was clear as day. And out of what he said to me was the birthing of Launching Deeper. So the story that I said earlier with Bishop T.D. Jakes, it just all fit together, that puzzle, why I was so intrigued by what he had said a year ago about launching into the deep. And what God had spoke to me, it was like two pieces of a puzzle that finally clicked. And God clearly said, you are to move into the ministry, into the business of helping people launch deeper, assisting people in launching deeper. So that's where it all started.